Hello, Tennessean viewers and readers. This is David Plazas, the Opinion and Engagement Director, and my special guest today is Chris Cheng, who is a candidate for council member at large here in Metro Nashville Davidson County. This is part of a series that we're doing with the candidates. There are 8 who are running for 4 seats on September 14th. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful day, and I'm really honored to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation and including me in this process. I'm very, very grateful.
Well, we're glad to have you here. So tell us a little bit about why you're running for this office.
I'm 34 years old. My wife and I were both born and raised in the area, and we're farmers market vendors. We have a simple profession. We make hot sauce at a commercial kitchen in East Nashville, Citizen Kitchens, and we sell it at the farmers markets kind of all across the county, from Donaldson to Creve Hall to I've done downtown farmers market and Richland Park ones on Saturdays. You can come to find us, and in that process, I've just absolutely fallen in love with several things. One is the small business community, like not even just small business, like the micro small businesses that are, in the, at the markets, but also like your local bagel shops, your coffee shops, your local grocery stores. It's something that I've been grateful to be in that kind of ecosystem. And I really, really wanted someone to be the kind of just the small business champion on the Metro Council. So whatever policies come along the way, whatever new developments, proposals, is there someone that can just be there at the table, like just relentlessly, negotiating, bringing up different opportunities, and to advocate for our small businesses, to keep keep them active and not just surviving, but thriving. And for me, I really find that so many of these things, they provide the culture, the unique, the taste, the flavors of Nashville. And it's something that I'm just so passionate about, wanting to maintain, especially growing up here. In that vein, like I've gotten involved a lot of the parks. I mean, a lot of our small businesses and some of these craft festivals and farmers markets are hosted at a lot of our community infrastructure. And so it's also just given me a huge passion for community infrastructure, specifically our parks. I love our greenways, our libraries, our schools, our community centers. These are things that I've witnessed both in what I do now, but also just growing up here. I grew up south of town, not far from Cambridge Park. And when my wife and I were dating and we were teenagers, we would go over there. We didn't have much money. We make hot sauce for a living now, so we still don't have that much money. But we would go there to play tennis, toss a frisbee. Like we just loved hanging out there. And as a kid, I remember going there for picnics and softball games and kickball games. And I find that these are the places that, can bring people together all across the neighborhood, build neighborhood bonds and community trust. And it's also, they're just like public resources. So, I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you make or what you look like, or your background or your age or income. It's places where people can kind of build these like informal bonds that I think kind of have can really lead to cool, either new ideas or new associations or new groups or friendships. And that's something that that's really, really I'm passionate about. I love a lot of these things, and something that I want to run on and hoping to get elected and constantly beat the drum for these things that keep Nashville both like livable and really fun for the folks that live here.
One of the things that you talk about in your campaign or in your questionnaire a little bit is your unique background, as someone who is a veteran, as someone who is Harvard educated, as someone who is Asian American. Would you talk a little bit about how those things factor into who you are, who you become, and how you can contribute to the city?
Yeah. For me, I grew up, my mom grew up in Woodbine on J Street primarily. And then and her, I think family's been there. We looked it up a few generations, and my mom just calls it Woodbine. She's like, we're from Woodbine. She went to Woodstead Elementary. And my dad's an immigrant from Hong Kong. He came here in the 70s, in 1972. And they actually met as like UPS package car drivers. She was mostly a secretary in the legal field, but she was filling in for some holiday helping around December. And then my dad was there, and so they met. Anyways, I grew up in a mixed household and south of town, and so that really had a big impact on me because it gave me just an appreciation for the folks that are from Nashville, but also the folks that have moved to Nashville and found opportunities here. And my dad, being an immigrant, was always so grateful that he was able to be here and like fulfill his American dream. He was able to raise a family. He was able to have kids and have a career. And so for me, it instilled like a desire to want to serve and just be grateful for some opportunities. And so I ended up serving in our Army after college. I was an Army Ranger, did a few deployments with them. And I just, in that point, I think one of my big takeaways in that process was, as a young person, like you're thinking about like special operations, like I'm going to be jumping out of airplanes and all this stuff and helicopters. And absolutely that was part of it. But for me, one of my biggest takeaways as a young, part of that community was how much what you really do is take care of the people around you in your unit. And you look out for them when you're overseas, when you're back home. I mean, back home, especially making sure people, make sure they go to their doctor's visits, their dental visits, make sure they have, time with their families. And so for me, so much of the service component of that was we were all taking care of each other. And I think one thing, I think that I found to be, at least on the campaign trail, kind of a relation is it's all different types of folks. I think it's different ages, different backgrounds, different people from all over the country and different opinions and different philosophies. But, we had this kind of shared commitment to taking care of each other. And I think that's something that has stuck with me and then really resonated with me. And then afterwards, after the military, I was able to go back to school and study public policy and business at Harvard University. And for me, it was a great transition back into kind of a civilian mindset and meet brilliant people, way smarter than myself, and be able to learn from them and see what their kind of work was in the nonprofit industries, in government, in businesses, and kind of get an understanding of some of these kind of like these public-private partnerships. I think that education has definitely come in handy, I think, on the campaign trail and it's just learning so much about so many different topics, so many different developments, so many different, financial arrangements, and learning, I think having an understanding of budgets and finance and both the opportunities and challenges with that. And so I'm trying to bring that all together. Again, my wife and I are just farmers market vendors. Like that's our livelihood. It's definitely not rocket science. And, but I'm trying to bring kind of the collection of those experiences and education to just be an asset on the team. I think the Metro Council, it's like there are a lot of amazing people on the council and also amazing candidates, especially even in the at-large race, so many different strengths and different backgrounds. And I've been honored and super excited to have gotten to meet a lot of them, no matter the outcome here, and also get to just learn from them. We're learning from each other, and I've definitely learned from them throughout the process, including the district folks I've gotten to get to know as well. But I think everyone has something to bring to the table, and what I would love to try to offer if I was, if I'm lucky enough to get elected, is kind of a veteran background and kind of a son of an immigrant background, and trying to bring my educational, what I did learn, and try to apply that to and share that, and also continue to learn. I mean, this is more hands-on, and I've learned so much in the past 6 months on this on the campaign about different components of how our city government works, and I'm still trying to learn, and I'm still hoping to get that opportunity to grow into the role.
Yeah, one of the things when I asked the questionnaire, what are you hearing most about the voters? It was a very interesting answer. You said bring people together, from addressing housing affordability to transit needs. There's a growing appetite for more constructive action and less infighting. Could you elaborate a little bit about that, about the whole notion of bringing people together and how you might be the right person to do that?
Yeah, I think a lot of times I heard, some people, they're, again, I've been to try to, one of the big parts for me at the at-large race is to, I was born here at Baptist Hospital. I grew up kind of in the south part of town. My wife and I live in Old Hickory, but I really want to get across the county. And we do that with our work, with the small businesses we work at and with the farmers markets. And I think that's one of the things that really intrigued me about the at-large opportunity, was to have a kind of a comprehensive view of the county. Even during early voting this time, I made an adamant point to go at least once to every different early voting polling site across the county and speak to people and hear their different concerns in their neighborhood. Sometimes there are common concerns, sometimes there are unique concerns. But even before that, when this questionnaire came out, just talking to people, a lot of people are just, they want their government to work for them. And I'm 6 months ago, I'm just a regular voter as well. And we entrust that, essentially everyone has their own lives and their own families and their own challenges. And as a voter, we delegate these responsibilities to our elected officials and entrust that they're listening to us, and then also, looking out for us and our welfare. And I think the biggest thing is like we just see so much we've seen a lot of friction and infighting all across, in the country, in the county, in the state, as we know, even in the city, different perspectives. And I think, again, people have different roles. And I think there are roles that, you have to fight when you want to fight, and you have to, listen when you need to listen. And at the end, I think there are certain roles. And one of my strengths I do find, again, going back to being a young Army officer and, being way in over my head, was that you had to reach out to people and find common ground and find, hey, what can we do to move the ball forward to make the lives better for our people, especially their everyday lives. And so my father also, I learned a lot from him. He just retired the past couple of years as a federal mediator. That's what he did after he was a UPS truck package car driver down the line. His goal and his passion was always listening and always trying to find the root of a problem and understanding and finding, what can really, what goals are we trying to achieve? And so for me, I again, being the son of a mixed household and two different cultures, and I've spent a lifetime, I think listening and trying to find really practical solutions to problems. And you do that a lot as an Army officer. It's very hands-on. And I think one thing that absolutely has, drawn me to the municipal government is that it's so hands-on and it's so tangible. I mean, it's waste management, it's potholes, it's stormwater runoff, it's our recycling programs, ensuring that we have a tree canopy, that benefits us all and, protects us during, bad storms. It also helps clean our air and provide also just great aesthetics for us to, have good recreation. And I think those are the things that I think, again, I can bring to the table. I think there are a lot of different roles to play, and I think that's the role that I'd be really excited to play. Is working with different folks and also of very different opinions.
One of the issues that keeps on coming up is the growth of Nashville, and how some people feel that there's an imbalance, that they're not seeing the effects in their own lives. And then there's the housing cost issues. Could you talk a little bit about your thoughts on those issues and what you might be able to do to contribute to people's angst and dissatisfaction on these issues?
Yeah, this was really hits home because, this is home. And so when I grew up, it wasn't, it was much more affordable. And then also there was less people. And I believe I'm the youngest person in the at-large race. And I think a lot of my peers, I work in a commercial kitchen. And so most of my friends and peers and colleagues, we're in the service industry. And I was in our commercial kitchen yesterday with caterers, bakers, and both small business owners, but also folks who, work for, different firms and businesses around town. And it's tough. Like, it is really, really, really hard. And it's a topic that keeps coming up. And so for me, to try to make things Nashville, not just more livable, which is the first goal, but also enjoyable for people to live here, no matter your income, for everyone. And so, again, a big emphasis on why I'm so passionate about community infrastructure, investing in our schools, investing in our community centers, investing in these recreational facilities and parks and places that we can enjoy, to take a little bit of the burden off, you don't always have to do that extra special thing. These are places that we can come together and invest in in the public service employees as well. So, I've gotten to meet with both, like, our first responders. This week I got to meet with our retired Metro employees and learn about their experiences, and finding ways to invest in our core services, even just things like keeping, our road safety, and just investing in the infrastructure, both for transit, that way people can get to work. That way they can invest in their neighborhoods and they not have to spend so much money on maintenance, on fixing things. On the housing front, again, a lot of people in my generation, it's extremely tough because, we're coming up, and then just housing, we feel like it's just getting more and more expensive. And I have so many friends that are small business owners that really have to make a hard choice whether or not, a lot of my friends and family that I grew up with are still maybe live in Middle Tennessee, but they moved outside because of affordability. And I want to work to make Nashville more affordable. And a couple of the ways is increasing, investing. I think one of the big things I've talked about and I've learned from folks meeting at WeGo is, finding our main corridors, our main thoroughfares, investing in transit in those areas. And then also investing, they go hand in hand, tying in the housing on those areas too. So we can have multi-use housing. We can increase our density on those corridors. So it makes transit, the efficiency that we can service more folks in both city services, but also transit, can make those opportunities affordable. I mean, especially the big examples on Murfreesboro Pike, where the airport's becoming one of the biggest employers in the city, and making sure people can get to and from the area, both not just safely, which is the most important, but also efficiently, so they can have more time with, when they're at work, they can be there, but when they're off work, they can, be with their friends and family, or enjoy their hobbies, or, work and, have another side business, or whatever they want to do in their other time. I think for me, again, being 34 years old, I need to keep the city. I need to keep the city livable for my friends, myself, everyone. But also just meeting with retirees yesterday, or on Monday. It's folks on fixed income. It's something that is really, really important that we keep. We've got to keep the city welcoming for everyone, and not just. And for me, it's it's a moral issue, but it's also just like an interesting cultural issue. Like we want like our retirees to be able to live here. We want our young folks to be able to live here. We want everyone in between to be able to bump up against each other and have these conversations. It's what makes Nashville interesting. It makes our culture exciting. It's why people do want to come here, both to live and to visit. Having these people nearby, cooking and making these exciting restaurants, but also having that way our teachers can live here. Our firefighters can live here. Our police officers can live here. Again, it's the right thing to do, but it's also good for the people, because I remember growing up going to Hickory Hollow Mall, and you see one of your teachers, oh my, it's a celebrity. And so it was, those informal connections that you have with those people, but also the connections they have with the communities. That way our first responders really, they know the neighborhoods, and they know the neighbors. And I think, to me, finding ways where we can support our public workers and our core services is also, paramount to making sure Nashville stays affordable for the working class.
And one of the questions I like to ask candidates is the places that they recommend to tourists, to visitors when they come. And you mentioned farmers markets, you mentioned nature and parks. Now, obviously, the farmers market you've mentioned already. This is where people can find you. But elaborate a little bit on the others, the parks and the nature.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. So I think when you come to Nashville, I think one of the first things people think of is, obviously, I think for a lot of tourists coming in, I talk to a lot of them at the farmers markets, and, they go downtown, of course. But I really try to, explore different parks. Like, I mean, we live in Old Hickory, but we work a lot in East Nashville, our commercial kitchen. And like Shelby Park is, one of our favorite places. It's, you go there, you can get lost at the bottoms. If you're someone who enjoys, like, they have the free Frisbee golf course right there. I think if you like golf, like Shelby, you're just coming in the Shelby golf course, but even Vinnie Links is super affordable, and it's an easy time just to go over there. Whether you're good at golf or not, it's an enthusiastic place to get outside and recreate. Centennial Park, I think these are the places when, you walk around, especially Centennial Park, you go there, there's usually, but there's always sometimes Musicians Corner, craft festivals. There's even, different, just informal things going on there. I think that's one of the fun, you can go there and just really explore there, and then walk over to the universities. And also just Bicentennial Mall. You do have the farmers market, which I'm always advocating for. But then it's a beautiful day out there, and then you can go to either the archives or the Tennessee State Museum for free. There's so many ways, I think, to explore, that we've done a good, to continue investing in these places, because, it's beautiful. I think Nashville, especially, I mean, gosh, this week it's beautiful weather. So very, very grateful for times like now. And I encourage anyone who visits or not visiting, even locals, to for me, I want to get back out there.
Well, thanks so much, Chris, for taking the time to talk to me. If people want to learn more about you and your campaign, where should they go?
Well, if you see me, I'll try to hit the poll sites hard again on early voting and election day. So if you see me out there, please just grab me, talk to me. But also my website is votecheng.com. That's CHENG. And thank you so much for even just showing an interest. And I'd be grateful for your consideration for one of your votes. And just wishing you all a good rest of the campaign, and wishing all the other candidates well. It's been a rewarding and hardworking journey.
And remember, viewers and voters, our early voting starts August 25th, goes through September 9th, and the election is September 14th. So let's go vote Nashville. Thank you so much, Chris Cheng. We appreciate it, and best of success to you.
Thanks so much.